Welcome back to Temporal Directive, the Star Trek fan podcast rewatching the entire franchise in chronological order. I'm Gary.
And I'm Tom.
And this week, we're watching Star Trek Enterprise's Precious Cargo. Star Trek, the ultimate franchise. These are the podcasts of the Wakefield brothers. Their 16-year mission to watch every production, to seek out life lessons and new inspirations, to boldly watch like most fans have watched before. Welcome, Tom. Hello. How are you?
Good.
How's your week been?
Boring.
Oh, fucking brilliant.
Yeah, you ask me every week.
So interesting.
You ask me every week and I'm like, I have nothing to say.
Yeah.
I just go to work and then come home and do nothing. It's very exciting. I'm rewatching The Simpsons. Is that exciting?
No,
No, I didn't think so.
it's not exciting.
I am getting into anime a little bit. Everybody keeps talking about how animes are good. I don't know why.
When you say everyone, are you talking about the young people at your work?
Well, yes, I
Yes.
suppose so, yeah.
Yes. I run youth groups through work, and all the young people
Yeah.
love a fucking anime.
Yeah, it's weird, right? It just seems anime is like
the
must be
thing.
a young people's thing. I mean, I know I'd watched a few Studio Ghibli or however you say it, but anyway, and I don't mind a couple of the Studio stuff, but and I went when I was in Japan, I went and looked at a couple of the Studio Ghibli stuff, but that's really good. I do like some of their movies, but now I'm having a look at some of the actual anime TV series. So, you know, Dan to Dan, that was all right.
Trying to be young.
Wow. I've literally got a whole staff at work is all young people. I'm the oldest there. It's really weird. So I'm doing it just so that I can at least
Kind of
have
the opposite
some...
of your last job.
Exactly. It's so weird. I was the youngest there and now I'm the oldest here. It's just really odd. So something to talk to them about might be okay.
Fair enough.
And how about you?
I'm annoyed because I still have not seen Sinners.
Right, the movie
And I
you were
talked
meant
to you
see.
last week.
Yeah.
I was talking about how we were meant to go see it after we finished recording,
Yeah.
but something else came up, so it just didn't happen. So now here I am a week later, still having not watched it. And I was thinking about going today after recording,
Yeah.
but it's not on till like 6:30.
That's all right. That's okay.
It's not okay. That means it won't finish till like 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Oh, no.
That's past my bedtime.
How old are you?
I'm 42. Just like Patsy.
You're like an old nana. You gotta be in bed before the sun goes down.
No. Sometimes I see the sun go down while I'm in bed. If I leave the curtains open, sometimes I can see the sunset. I'm old.
Yeah.
Okay? And I'm okay with that.
Sure, yeah. Don't want to go to the movies because I might finish at 8:30. Oh, Jesus.
It's too late. It's too late. I'm a 10:30 a.m. movie watcher. 1 o'clock maybe. I could do an afternoon at the cinema.
1 o'clock so that you can get home and into bed.
No. 1 o'clock, I would still have time to have dinner while I watch The Wheel.
There's a whole generation of people out there that have no idea what you're talking about. That's great.
Anyway, let's get into this week's episode, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
This week's episode is Enterprise's Precious Cargo. Story by Rick Berman and Brennan Braga. Teleplay by David A. Goodman and directed by David Livingston, a regular director of this show. I'm sure that name is familiar by now. Probably not to you because you don't pay attention.
I had no idea.
The original air date of this episode was December 11, 2002.
Wow.
My 20th birthday.
Yeah. 20 years old.
Yay.
Jesus.
And this was just a couple of days before the US release of Star Trek Nemesis in cinemas. But we didn't get it until February the following year. So, yeah.
So everybody already knew it sucked and we had to wait another year.
Yep. Well, not a whole year. It was a couple of months.
Yeah.
We waited till February. Yep. Not worth the wait.
No. It was bad.
It was real bad. Anyway, the IMDb synopsis is: while Trip is repairing a status pod at a Retellian cargo ship and the woman inside, heir apparent to the throne of Krios, wakes up, the ship makes a hasty departure. Trip must make a plan to escape.
Right.
Sounds fascinating, doesn't it?
Yep. I'm thrilled.
So, waking up a woman from
Yeah.
a status pod.
Yeah.
Does that sound familiar?
Yeah. It sounds like next gen.
Next gen, the perfect
card.
mate.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Which was a really good episode. But I'm guessing this one's going to be a poor substitute for that.
That's usually what happens.
Yeah. It's like, oh, we have a really good idea from next gen. Let's do that. Well, why don't you come up with something original that might be good?
Yeah. That's the problem with Enterprise. We're right at the end of the Star Trek fatigue. Star Trek had been on for a couple of decades.
Yeah.
And now they're recycling stories.
Yeah,
We even saw that in Voyager. They were recycling stories from Next Gen.
They did quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
But, like, get over it already.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Voyager...
if you're going to make another show, make it original.
Yeah.
And moving the time, like moving Enterprise to a prequel series was probably a good idea.
Very much
But stop recycling the storylines. Why do a Ferengi episode? We've got the Borg coming up.
Exactly.
Like just do something unique.
Exactly.
We haven't even watched it yet and we're complaining.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. Yeah. That's the thing, though, isn't it? Do something unique.
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole point of shifting the time. Like, we're doing a coming of Starfleet thing. Like, so do that. Yeah.
In doing my research for my notes, John Billingsley, who plays Dr. Phlox, said that this was his least favorite episode of the series. And Braden Braga, who was co-writer in the story credit, considered it one of the worst episodes of Star Trek.
Oh, this is going to be a great one.
So
the favorite character, like the favorite actor in the series, and one of the best writers in Star Trek, like consider
arguably,
arguably, of course, definitely, are saying that this is the shittest thing to watch or to
the worst episode of Star Trek.
Yeah.
Not of Star Trek Enterprise, the worst episode of Star Trek.
Oh. Let's go watch it then. I'm very excited for this episode.
Yeah, okay, let's do that.
Yay.
And we're back from watching Precious Cargo. There was nothing precious about this episode.
No, nothing at all.
This was junk cargo.
Yeah. That's it, exactly.
This should have been hauled away as garbage.
It's so bad. Yeah. Don't have to ask me what I thought after we've come back. It's just shit.
It was really shit.
And it's the same old. It's not even the same old. It's just a shit version of what we've had in the past in other movies, in other episodes.
Yep.
It's so predictable and just shit. I mean, couldn't they have one, like, even just one episode where, like, they don't kiss and make up and shit? Like, can't they just fight and hate each other's guts and never want to see each other ever again? Like, is that not a possibility to happen in these sort of scenarios where you, like, really actually fucking hate the person you're with? Like, why does it always have to end with, like, some girl ripping off her fucking skirt to get into something or the guy taking his shirt off and then making out on the fucking... after a fight? Like, I don't get it.
It's
cliche.
way overdone.
It's over the top.
In doing my research, some of the reviews for this episode from Trek Nation, they said that this episode is a rip-off of the episodes Alan of Troyes from the original series and The Perfect Mate from Next Gen, and offers no plot twists that the viewer can't see coming.
Yeah, nothing.
She drew a lot of comparisons to Star Wars
and
her being like Princess Leia, needing rescuing, flirtatious one-liners and arguing.
Nerf herder.
And crash landing on a planet like Dagobah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Star Trek Magazine rated this 1 out of 5 and named it the worst episode of the season. As I said before, John Billingsley said this was his least favourite episode of the entire series.
Don't blame him.
Brandon Braga considered it one of the worst episodes of Star Trek ever made. And fans at the 50th anniversary Star Trek convention voted this episode the 10th worst episode of any Star Trek series. And What Culture ranked it as the 7th worst episode of the Star Trek series.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah.
Yep. The Digital Fix said this episode was not terrible, but these stories have been done before and much better.
Yeah, much better.
I agree with what they said at the end, but it is terrible.
It is. It is absolutely terrible.
Awful episode.
I've got nothing to say. Like, it's just so.
I was not a fan of last week's Vanishing Point.
Yeah, no.
But compared to this garbage,
yeah, that's exactly right. Like, this is like just this is like the Voyager episode where like Janeway and Tom
Threshold
Paris turn into the fucking little fucking slug things.
Threshold. It's our example of a one episode on the.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, it's as low as that. This is just fucking shit. This is pointless dribble that doesn't need to exist.
Yep. All right, we'll give it a shot.
We'll just do what we can.
Sorry, folks.
Yeah, sorry. It's going to be a quick one because we don't give a shit. There's very few episodes where we're going to be like this.
You know it's going to be bad when the episode opens with Tucker with his feet up on his desk playing a harmonica.
Yeah, a futuristic harmonica. I mean, why do they have to futurize a harmonica like that?
They haven't changed in 100 years.
Yeah, why would they change in the future? Like, why would it be this big, long, black fucking thing? Like, it'd just be a fucking harmonica. It doesn't need to be any more than it is. I don't think the trumpet changed for Riker, right? And that's even further in the future. I don't think you have this big fancy thing that we better fucking futurize it. No, it's just a fucking trumpet.
So we open with Tucker playing the harmonica, and he notices a ship out the window, and then we skip the credits. So riveting.
Yeah.
Trip, Archer, and T'Pol are heading to the docking port. The hatch opens, and there's a couple of alien dudes that come out, Goff and Plyn, and they ask for some help.
The stasis pod
on their ship is malfunctioning, and they have a passenger in suspended animation because of the 5-month journey ahead of them.
Precious cargo.
And Trip says that he's happy to have a look, so he goes on board the ship.
Then the guy says, I'm really, really dirty and I need a shower.
Goff says, it's been a long time since we've enjoyed the luxury of a bath.
Yeah.
And Archer says, we'll show you some quarters, and when you're done, we can have a meal.
Yeah, then he looks at his hand as if, ew, I shook his hand. Ew. Except, like, he may not have had a bath, but I'm pretty sure he's probably washed his hands.
And why?
Like,
why would they just allow some random aliens to come through the docking port
without going
through decontamination like they do when they go on a planet? Like, you don't know what these people have.
That's it. And if they're a cargo ship too, what are they carrying?
Who knows what they're hauling?
They could be hauling all sorts
toxic
of random
waste.
Shit. Yeah, that's exactly right. It might not be toxic to them. They could just be walking around the whole ship with this big stuff. As soon as you open the airlock, it's just like kill the whole crew in 3 minutes.
I mean, you can say that about every episode. That's not this episode's problem.
No, it's not. It's not. And maybe they do scans beforehand. Maybe Dr. Phlox, that's part of his job, is before they even dock to the ship.
Yeah, let's just assume that. We see Tucker in the cargo hold of the alien ship. They're showing him a Plin. Plin is the dude's name.
Plin.
He is showing Tucker the pod and stuff, and he says that he should be able to use an EPS conduit to fix it, and that it would be easier if I could read
The language.
So he says he's going to ask Hoshi to translate some of it. And he says, "Yep, cool, whatever."
No worries. And he scrapes off the ice
He
to have a
scrapes
look.
off the ice to have a look at
Because
the
of
chick.
course that's important, right? I mean, I'm working on this stasis pod. I need to see what's in it. Well, fuck off. Just do your job.
Well, Trip would do that.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, you're right. He would.
Yep. And he refers to her as Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah. Great.
So we get a nice shot of the Enterprise docked with this
Massive.
big ass alien ship.
It's huge.
Huge.
Really, really fat. Really, really wide.
Fatter than the
it's-
Enterprise.
yeah.
It's about as
Big as the
saucer
saucer
section of the Enterprise.
Yeah.
We get a nice good shot of that.
Yeah.
And then we see Goff, the alien that wanted a shower or a bath or whatever,
Yeah, all nice and clean.
meeting with Captain Archer in the ready room, and Archer's saying, we could actually take you to your destination and you could be there in less than 4 days. We could just dock your ship inside our launch bay. What the fuck? With a TARDIS?
Yeah.
Do you have a TARDIS in the launch bay? What the fuck? How are you doing that?
At which point you freak the fuck out.
Like, how?
That was great.
Just how?
Yeah, I know. There's no room at all. Like, it's bigger than the Enterprise.
There's no room at the inn.
Where are you sticking that thing? Grab the loop and see what happens. Oh, fuck.
Just do not understand.
They're shuttle bay too. Like
Their launch bay is
That's it,
tiny.
and it's got 4 separate little doors. Like, how do you even
It's
get
tiny.
Like, how do you even get like one big ship in there? It's
You
tiny.
wouldn't.
The launch bays are like just made for their shuttles. Like,
Yep. Makes no sense
None.
whatsoever.
None.
Not even a little. The alien Goff says, nah.
No shit.
Just says, nah.
No.
Nah. Nah. And then they go off to have dinner. We cut back to the alien ship. Hoshi comes in with the translation.
With the device to translate.
Yeah.
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 It's important for later.
Nothing in this episode is important, Tom. They speculate that the sleeping woman might be a doctor because apparently she was on some medical research colony or some shit. Who knows?
Caught in a
It's
pin.
stupid.
Like, whatever. Made up some bullshit.
Made up some
Like,
rubbish.
It means nothing to them.
Troops
what
just
she's
staring at her too, like
Yeah.
a creepo.
Yeah, looking down, staring.
Which is what Hoshi says. It's not polite to stare, Commander. What's that supposed to mean? No,
Stop
that's what he sounded like. Right?
staring.
I wasn't staring. And then Hoshi just leaves. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Then he hears some noises, and the status pod has been disabled, and she's woken up, and she's trying to get out. And he's talking to her through the glass, like she can hear him.
Yeah, and like she'd understand him anyway.
Yep.
Like he's a fucking moron. Sometimes.
Then we cut
Most
to
of the time.
the captain's dining room. The two aliens and Archer and T'Pol are having dinner together. One of the aliens, Goff's pager, goes off.
Yeah, sure.
And he looks down at his pager and says, "Oh, the status pod is malfunctioning. We better go." So he gets up and goes and leaves the other alien, Plin, just there.
Yeah, doesn't even care. He just
Doesn't
runs
care.
off.
He just runs off. We cut back to the cargo bay. Tucker's trying to open the status pod.
Yeah,
She's yelling in some foreign language. Goff comes out and says, "You can't bring her out of stasis."
yeah.
Uh,
It's a bit late for that.
she already is out of stasis. They ended up opening it up. She gets out. The alien hits Tucker over the back of the head with a crowbar.
Yeah, it's not a
Or
crowbar.
the alien equivalent.
Yeah, that's you could. Yeah. I was like, it wasn't a crowbar.
We cut back to the captain's mess. Plyn is about to eat some spaghetti and his pager goes off. Goss tells him that there's been a minor problem with the status pod and I'm going to need your assistance. And he says, what kind of problem? It's just a bit more complicated than I expected. All right, I'll be there in a minute.
Runs off.
T'Pol looks concerned. She has a look on her face.
Eyebrow raised.
Yep. So Archer uses the comm panel to get Reed to meet the alien and escort him to the ship and make sure everything's okay.
Reed's all like, well, I'm under orders, you know. And he's like, well, since when leaving the captain's table such a offence? Yada yada.
So they get to the docking port. The alien comes out of the ship and sees the security. There's a shooty firefight.
Yep.
And
Pin drops to the floor.
He drops to the floor. The other one runs back onto his ship.
Attached from the airlock.
They break off the airlock and fly away. Yeah. Enterprise follows. We're on the bridge, and Archer is
like keep up with them.
Keep up with them. Try to hail them. No response. Use the phase cannons. Target the engines. Reed shoots. He says there's a direct hit, but we didn't see the hit.
I know. What's with that?
They probably couldn't afford it after the firefight on the on the ship. There's only so many phaser shots per episode they can afford. They stop the freighter. They shoot out one of the nacelles. He drops out of warp. He tries to hail him. It doesn't happen. The freighter shoots off this big cloud of dilithium hydroxyls, ionized pyrosulfates.
Sure.
Yep. And then he starts to move off, and they can't go to warp because the cloud of gas or whatever he's released has clogged up the plasma vents, so they'll need to be purged. So they've lost him. Gone.
Because, you know, when he started venting, you wouldn't automatically go, you know, shut off the vents or anything.
Shut off the plasma vents.
Yeah, because you wouldn't think that was exactly what he was trying to do to you.
No.
Because, you know, whatever.
This is the first time they've been out in space.
True. That is true. I mean, you know.
I mean, it is, but that's not what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
This isn't their first episode.
That's it.
We cut back to the cargo hold. Trip and the woman are yelling at each other. They don't understand each other because she's speaking whatever language she speaks.
Yeah. The guy
Goss comes in with his gun, and Tucker stands in between them. He asks if it's repaired, and Trip says, "What?" He's saying that you need to get the status pod up and running so we can put it back into stasis.
Couple hours. It's going to take at least a couple hours to do. He's like,
and
hurry up.
Then he leaves.
Yeah. And never comes back.
Never comes back.
No. He's like,
doesn't matter.
You better hurry up, and then leaves them for several hours.
He doesn't come back till right at the end.
Yeah.
So they start talking again. They find the universal translator so that they can understand each other.
Communicate. No.
Yep. She says that she has been kidnapped, that she's their prisoner. She was on a diplomatic mission because she is the first monarch of the sovereign dynasty of Krios Prime.
Ascending or just is?
Just is.
Yeah.
I am first monarch is what she says.
Oh.
And he says, so what? Who cares? No. It's a Saturday Night Live reference. He introduces himself and asks what she thinks that they might want. She says, no doubt, the ransom. He wants to escape. She says we need to stay here and wait for the Sovereign Guard to come and pay the ransom so that they can go.
Yep. He
says, I'd rather get out of here.
Yeah.
And she tries to give him an order, and he says, I'm not one of your subjects. Fuck off.
Isn't it actually part of the rules in the future, at least, for Starfleet officers to make an attempt to escape? I think that was mentioned in something in one of the episodes.
Probably.
Someone needs to correct me on that, or at least confirm that for me. But I'm pretty sure someone said it's like their
duty.
Yeah, duty to try and escape when captured.
So we cut to the ready room. Archer, T'Pol, and the alien Plyn are in there. Archer's trying to find out what the fuck is going on. Plyn says, oh, obviously, I'm a victim too. Why else would he leave me here?
Sure.
And T'Pol says, where were you taking your passenger? Goth had all the coordinates. I don't know.
I just looked after this stasis pod.
I was in the cargo bay. I have no idea. Archer says, take him back to the docking port, put him in the airlock, and post a security detail. We'll keep the outer hatch unlocked. If you decide to leave, you know the way out. Doesn't seem very Starfleet, does it?
It's pretty rough.
Like, okay. You do have a brig on the Enterprise, right?
Yeah, you would imagine so.
We cut back to the alien ship. Trip is trying to unlock a hatch and asks the princess or monarch or whatever the fuck she is. I'm going to call her a princess because that's the
it's easier to be
stereotype.
Yeah, it's easier to
Because she's
say.
like Princess Leia.
Yeah, it's easier to say it sarcastically too. Like,
Yeah.
whatever, princess.
Whatever, princess. Yeah, so Trip asks the princess to grab one of the tools and she just ignores him. And she says, is your entire species so ill-mannered? He says, no, just me.
Yeah. Pretty much anyone that deals with you would be.
Yeah,
princess.
She says again that she wants to stay. And he says, we need to get out of here. If I do what they say and fix the status pod, they're just going to kill me anyway. So I want to go. And you'd be better off coming with me than staying here and taking your chances with these guys.
Yeah. You know, I'd be like, just stay behind. I'm off. See you later.
Yep. Yeah, me too. I'm getting out of here. You do what you want,
that's
princess.
right. Follow me or don't fucking follow me.
You're not my responsibility. I don't care.
That's it.
But he says that he's going to reroute the internal sensors. They'll be 1 million kilometers away before they even know I'm gone. And I'm much better company than the aliens. I don't know about that.
Well, I don't know either. I mean, you know, he seems very annoying.
He plays the harmonica.
Yeah, that's right. He seems very, very annoying. I don't know that I can put up with that accent for that long.
No offense, American friends.
His particular accent, not all American accents.
Yeah. Then they're in the crawl space. They're arguing as they crawl through. And then they go into like a little area where they can get into the escape pods.
Mm. Yeah.
And they open the hatch and she says it's meant for one person.
Yeah. This is
And then
fucked.
she can't get in, so she has
This
to
is
rip
so fucked.
She has to rip her dress to make it shorter so that she can move her legs
How
properly.
was she even trying to get in? Like, she wasn't trying to get in at all. She was like trying to push her stomach in through the fucking hole. It's like, no one's going to get in that way, regardless of what you're wearing. You could be wearing fucking shorts and a tank top. You still won't fucking get in that way.
Nope.
Like, put your head in and crawl into the fucker.
Yep.
Or do what you did after you tore your fucking skirt off for no reason. Put your legs in first.
She had to expose her legs, Tom.
Oh, so fucking dumb.
Yep.
Like, you and me both
rolled our eyes
and went, oh, God. It's so fucked.
Yep. So then they get into this apparent pod that's made for one person, even though there's plenty of room for two.
Plenty of room.
And there seems to be like a double screens and double everything.
Yeah,
so
2 consoles, 2 screens, and the seat is made with 2 cushions on it so that you can sit 2 people.
Seems like a
side by
2-person
side.
escape
I mean,
pod
it's a
to me,
snug
but-
2 fit, but it's a 2 fit.
Yep. So they shoot off in the escape pod and it gets a bit bumpy and Tucker says, we're crossing the subspace threshold, which I've never heard anyone say before.
No, never.
But and then she makes a joke about some commoners. I don't know. Don't even know.
Just damn nerve herders.
They're insulting each other. They're getting frustrated with each other. They're just the usual. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If you've watched any movie, you know what I'm talking about.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. Ridiculous.
And that goes on for ages. We come back from a commercial and Trip's trying to figure out how to do stuff.
Stupider.
He's trying to understand the panels and what the thrusters do and all that
And
sort of
she's
stuff.
he's like leaning against her and over her with her legs up, and he's like squishing her against the fucking wall, looking at all these panels.
Yeah.
And she's like, you're touching the first monarch, and it's improper to do that. And then it's like, what are you even doing that for? There's enough room for a whole other person behind him.
Plenty of room there 5 seconds ago.
Yeah, like, so what the hell is it? What are you even doing? Like, what? It just was so stupid. Like, unnecessarily so.
Yep.
Ridiculous. Just for no point really, just to
have them being irritated at each other.
Exactly. And
They were exaggerating the close quarters, even though it wasn't that bad.
I hate it when they do shit like that.
Yep.
Anything does that. It's like whatever.
But then she says that she'll try to get along with him.
Yeah.
Then we cut to the Enterprise. The mess hall has been transformed into a interrogation chamber.
Yeah, that's right.
It seems super weird, really overdramatic.
Yeah.
There's one table in there with a spotlight just on the table.
Yeah.
And Reed brings the prisoner in as ordered.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
It totally reminded me of that episode of Voyager. Well, it's the one where I can't remember what the episode's called, but where the future people find remnants of parts of Voyager on a planet, and they just make up this whole bullshit about Voyager being this warship and everything, and Janeway's this horrible monster of a captain with like her leather gloves and stuff. And then what does she do? She like terrorizes a whole nother species. It's great. It's one of my favorite episodes of Voyager.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
We won't be watching that for a very long time. 'Cause chronologically, that is right before Discovery Season 3.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So
yeah.
you got to get through all of Picard and everything first, lower decks. And
I'm sure I'll watch it again before then.
I'm sure you will. But yeah, it's kind of like the Mirror Universe version of Enterprise.
It is.
But Archer and T'Pol play good cop, bad cop in this scene.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's fine.
Yeah, it was okay.
He's playing good cop, saying, "Oh, you better watch out for T'Pol. She's going to execute you." We started off with 83 crew members, and now we're down to 76. They're just trying to get him to say where they were going.
Yeah.
Does it work? I don't even remember.
Well, it must do.
Do we see it work, though?
I don't think so. I think that sort of ends with her walking out. And then him sort of looking panicked, and then that was it.
Yeah, well, she walks out, and he tries to beg with Archer to save him.
Yeah, but that's it, right?
And that's it. And then we cut back to the escape pod.
Yeah.
The princess is asking if there's any food.
Oh,
she's
that's right,
hungry.
the water and stuff, yeah.
And he says there might be something in the storage compartment above your head. Have a look. She says, "You do it." He says, "I'm busy," and she has a bit of a sulk for a second and then opens it, and he says, "If you find water, I could use some," and she just lets it fall into his lap. Then she brings out a tube, and it's full of jerky, and they both have a bit of a bite and say that, it's edible if you're hungry enough.
Yeah.
And they talk about dating, because
why not?
You?
Yeah, sure.
Ridiculous. More just ridiculous banter. Then it fades, and we see the pod heading towards a planet.
Mostly water.
Yeah, Trip says that it's there's a small chain of islands near the equator, but otherwise it's mostly water. The atmosphere is breathable, and then he uses the stabilizers and thrusters and whatever to basically land it. And as it's going down, it looks like they're going to land in Hawaii on a beach. And then they open it up, and they're in Dagobah.
Yeah,
It's just...
that's it.
It looks like they were going to end up at Riser, and they end up in another franchise.
Yoda sitting on a rock in the background.
Yeah. Might as well. She's complaining about the heat.
Yeah.
He's got a little cut on his shoulder or something. She says that he's bleeding. He says it's fine. It's just a scratch. She says, "Take off your uniform." And he says, "No, I'll take care of it later." She's like, "It could be infected. Help me, Mr. Tucker. You're my only hope." And she says, "You're my only hope of surviving, Mr. Tucker. I don't intend to let you die." So he strips off his shirt so that she can fix his fucking scratch on his shoulder. Ridiculous.
There goes the shirt.
Yep. So they do that. He says how he's going to use the thruster assembly to start a fire, boil some water.
Yep.
It fades to later.
She's coming back with 5 sticks.
Correct. And he says, "Is that all you could do? We need more. That's not enough." She says there's very little dry wood. He says, "Keep looking." She gets sulky and sits down and says, "I'm not your servant. You're the one that was raised in a primitive environment." So they're arguing again. They get into a bit of a kerfuffle. They roll down the hill. They fall into the water. They start making out.
Yep.
And then it fades to later, and they're waking up next to each other in their underwear.
And a nicely lit fire.
And some boiled water.
Boiled water and a big fire that
So they
has
had
lots
time
of
to-
wood. So not only were they shagging...
They banged,
Yeah.
then they made fire, boiled water, and banged again.
Yeah.
And then had a nap.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Easy.
So, I mean, what was all the fuss about?
I don't know.
I mean, there's plenty of dry firewood.
Must have been.
Sorry, there's plenty of wood on that planet. But
that was a sex joke.
Thanks for pointing that out, guys.
They hear a beeping sound. That's what wakes them up. They rush over to the escape pod. He rips open a panel, and we can see there's a flashing light in there. And he says it's a homing beacon. Someone's probably just locked onto us. And then we fade again to later. They like a fade to later in this episode. And we see Goss sneaking up on the pod through the jungle. We see her sitting next to an obviously fake body.
Clearly a dummy.
Yep. But wearing Trip's uniform.
Yeah.
Goss fires at the uniform. And of course, it falls apart and the head rolls off into the water. And he goes to investigate, and Trip jumps out and attacks him. They have a big fight. He does some standard boxing moves, and Goss laughs at him. And then throws him against the fakest rock I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
The princess comes in and hits him over the head with a branch, saying, "Leave him alone."
Leave me alone. Lucky she did, because he was going to drown him.
Yeah.
He was going to drown Tucker.
Yeah.
He was halfway through it.
Well, maybe something. At least there would have been something interesting in the episode.
That's
then.
right. It could have been a good episode.
So they go to try to find his weapon, and while they're looking around, they hear Archer yelling out,
Yeah.
"Trip? Trip? Is that you, Trip?"
Yeah.
Archer comes out with Reed and Paul, and Archer says, "Is this a bad time?"
Yeah, looking at
They're
him
in
and the
their underwear.
princess. Yeah.
We get a shot of the Enterprise. We get a captain's log saying that they've rendezvoused with a Krios battle cruiser, which has come to take the kidnappers into custody.
It's not in the holding bay.
Nope, it's not. Trip and the princess, she's now wearing an Enterprise uniform, are walking presumably to the docking bay so that she can be returned to her people. And he says, "When do you ascend?" She says 246 days. And he says, "Well, maybe we can show up before then and have a visit, but I doubt your family would let me." And she says, "Probably not, but once I'm made the first monarch, I'll have the authority to change the rules."
Yeah. At which point I was like, what? What?
Yes. Thankfully, that's the end of the episode.
Yes.
This episode was terrible.
It was so bad.
There is nothing redeeming about this episode at all.
No. None.
So, do you have a life lesson for this one?
I suppose the only life lesson is maybe help those in need.
Sure.
Let's
we'll
go with that. Yeah.
Yep. Done.
You know.
Done.
That's the only thing I can take from it.
Okay. Well, IMDb rating.
Nothing.
Our examples of 1 episodes of Voyager's Threshold and Next Gen's Code of Honor. Examples of 10 episodes of Next Gen's Tapestry and Deep Space Nine's Far Beyond the Stars. With those in mind, you were already alluded to Voyager's Threshold.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you want to rate this one a 1.
Yeah. Can we go lower?
It's between 1 and 10, I'm afraid. 1's the lowest we can do.
Oh, well, 1 it is, because fucking hell.
1 it is
That
indeed.
is so fucking bad.
That's it. Yep.
Like you said, there's no redeeming qualities in this.
There's nothing in here that
Nothing.
was unique, nothing
No.
in here that's original, nothing in here that's entertaining.
No.
It was one of the worst episodes I've ever watched.
Yeah, it's just terrible.
Completely forgettable.
Yeah.
Well, done.
Yeah.
Let's be done with this.
Excellent.
All right. You can find us on Facebook at Temporal Directive Podcast and Instagram, just Temporal Directive. Or you can email us at wakefield_productions@outlook.com and tell us what you thought of this episode or Enterprise or just Star Trek in general. We'd love to hear from you. And we'll be back next week with the episode The Catwalk. Live long and prosper.
Peace and long life.